Let's go straight across to Narayana Murthy, the founder of Catamaran Ventures. He joins us here on the election verdict from Bengaluru. Mr. Murthy, thanks very much for joining us, sir. And apologies for keeping you waiting. We had the Prime Minister speaking. But let me start by asking you what you make of this mandate. It's not just a decisive victory and a decisive win. It's better than the 2014 performance. What will this mean, not just for the country's politics, but also for the country's economics?
Well, first of all, congratulations to Shri Modi ji on this stupendous victory. He has done a brilliant job, absolutely no doubt about it. What this also means is that there will be continuity of several economic initiatives that he started, like Make in India, and then Startup India, then reforms in alternate investment funds, reforms in Swachh Bharat, which of course is more social. I think the important thing is that with even a bigger majority in the parliament, I have no doubt at all that he will bring even greater vigor and greater speed to various things that he has taken up. But the most important thing for any democracy like ours is to ensure that every one of the 1.35 billion Indians has confidence and hope that his or her future is going to be better as we move forward. And I do believe that there is an opportunity here for this government in its second term to work towards that extraordinary goal.
Mr. Murthy, you pointed out that the government must focus on a much more inclusive economic agenda, and that's what the Prime Minister alluded to as well. So, when we talk about further tax simplification, whether it's on the direct taxes side or the indirect taxes side, we talk about some reflationary policies, especially to get the agriculture sector moving back again. Outside of those, what is it that you would like to see specifically being addressed? Any big ideas that you believe that could be taken forward with this kind of decisive mandate and political capital?
No, I think the most important thing right now is creation of jobs in large numbers. Now, what that means is we have to attract foreign companies to come and create opportunities in large numbers for not so well-educated Indians in various fields, like China has done in the past, like Vietnam is doing today. In other words, the focus has to be on creating jobs for the not so well-educated, because my own industry creates jobs for reasonably well-educated Indians. But that's not sufficient. We have to create jobs for not so well-educated Indians. That is where low-tech manufacturing becomes extremely important. That is where improving agricultural productivity becomes important. That's where infrastructure becomes important.
Mr. Murthy, one of the comments that the Prime Minister made, that this election, in a sense, puts an end to the traditional way of looking at politics in India. He said the politics of vote banks, the politics of caste and caste consolidation. He believes that this election puts an end to that kind of political thinking and that kind of political approach. This mandate, outside of what it will do for the economy and the economic agenda over the next 5 years, from the political point of view and the political landscape, what do you believe this mandate signals for India?
Well, I am, as you know, Shireen, totally apolitical. For me, what matters is any government that brings smile onto the face of the poorest or the poor, any government that increases opportunities for every one of the 1.35 billion Indians, any government that enhances our status in our ranking in public health, in nutrition, in basic education, etc. In other words, I am much more focused on common good, because these are the areas where India has been traditionally weak, and here is an opportunity with such a strong government to gain a few points or a few ranks above where we have been, and make life better for the poorest of the poor.
Mr. Murthy, one of the issues that we've traditionally seen in India is this distrust between government and the private sector. Now, given the mandate that the government enjoys and the fact that they want to move on the ease of doing business and so on and so forth even further and build more momentum on that, what do you believe we could see by way of new ways of collaborating between government and industry? What could signal perhaps an even bigger shift in that relationship?
Well, I hope there will be several highly competent, well-intentioned technocrats who will perhaps have a place at the highest levels in the government. That is required. People who are engaged, people who are full of energy, full of enthusiasm. I think that's a good idea, because at this point of time in the history of our country, we need every Indian to be enthused about progress. And that's where I think enlisting the support of highly educated, globally minded, modern, Indian professionals in adding value to the government becomes very important. But it's very, very important that these are youngish people in their 40s and 50s, people who can indeed have tremendous energy and enthusiasm. I think that's how the two sectors, the government sector and the private sector, can come together with a unified objective of making this country so much better for every one of the 1.35 billion Indians.
Before I let you go, Mr. Murthy, you spoke about how India should be open to foreign businesses, creating jobs here. You also spoke about how we should prioritize low-tech industries so that we can give the semi-literate also high productive jobs. But, if I could ask you in terms of the regulatory environment, and we've seen some back and forth, for instance, on data localization and e-commerce regulations, etc. What is it that you would like to see as we move forward to encourage more foreign direct investment as well as more domestic capital into some of the new age sectors?
My personal view is the job is pretty easy and straightforward, and that is, we list out what the 5 most advanced countries in the world have done in each of the areas that you pointed out, and then take them as our ultimate objective and quickly move towards those, so that if we can say that we will be in the top 5 in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of modern technology, in terms of inclusive economics, in terms of public health, in terms of basic education, in terms of nutrition, in terms of shelter, in terms of infrastructure, then I believe it becomes a very simple thing. So I would say that let's look at the top 5 countries that lead in each of these areas and then see what they have done to get there, and let's start doing it. That's the way I would go about.